Okay, the title of my speech is Someone Trying to Kill Me? There's a killer on your trail. It's as relentless as hell. It's death morte she. It's death morte she. Be careful who you trust, 'cause death looks a lot like us. There's a killer on your trail. But every time I look behind me, there's no one there. I must have been covering my tracks pretty well. Yet, if I were ever to investigate my many brushes with death, I could discover those beneath the Reaper's hood. If there is a killer on my trail, that is. For instance, when I was 2, we lived in Navy housing in Norfolk, Virginia. These were the family barracks that had been hastily constructed during World War II and later repurposed to accommodate servicemen and their families. You know, the units were very, very narrow, comprised of a kitchen on and a living room downstairs with 2 bedrooms upstairs. Logistically, what this meant was that my folks slept in one room and me and my 2 sisters, we slept in the other. Tight arrangements. Just ask my sisters, who had to put up with a 2-year-old brother in their room. Well, one fateful morning, while my mom was serving my dad breakfast, I was poised at the top of the narrow wooden staircase with my Tonka truck. Well, my calls for help to get my toy trucks downstairs were unheeded by my brother deaf sisters. I decided to take matters into my own stubborn little hands. And I can now recollect getting my red truck and its attached logging trailer to the first step. With my back now facing downstairs, I attempted to wrangle my truck and trailer to the second step. And as I did, my world began to do cartwheels. And you know what? If a 2-year-old could count, then I could have recited the 15 times my head bounced off each one of the polished wooden steps. By the time I landed flat on my butt at the bottom, my mom was there with coffee pot in hand, and she was there to comfort me. I was too stunned to cry. My dad thundered next to me, shouting at my sisters who had failed to help me with my toys downstairs. But it wasn't my sister's fault. It was a killer that looked a lot like me. But death is as relentless as I am foolish. When we moved back to San Diego, we moved into a rental home in a post-World War II development called Allied Gardens. Our 3-bedroom home allowed for my folks to sleep in one bedroom, my sisters to share a bedroom, and another room, and a third room was to house me and my 2 younger brothers. This was a home that had a dining area on one wall that was checkerboard by 4 large frame windows. My chair was right in front of one of these windows. And like most 8-year-old boys, I could never sit still in my chair. And my current game at that time was to rock back in that chair and balance precariously on the back 2 legs. And again, my mom would yell at me to stop that. But as quickly as she left, I would resume my balancing act. I mean, what harm could it do? It was one summer afternoon that my bologna sandwich, half eaten before me, and then again I took up my circus routine of balancing my chair on its back 2 legs. I had gotten quite good at this and found myself tottering in perfect balance on those back 2 legs. Now, totally full of myself for this remarkable achievement, I attempted to, excuse me, I attempted to teeter while reaching for the last half of my bologna sandwich, which was still sitting on the table. Slowly, carefully, I extended my arms towards the table. And then, with a thunderous clap, my chair slid out from under me. The back of my chair crashed through the 4-foot by 4-foot glass pane behind me. And instinctively, I lunged forward to grasp the other half of my bologna sandwich, while my chair fell through the window and toppled into the backyard. That sheet of glass dropped like a translucent guillotine and sliced clean through the cushion on that chair. A chair which I had just sat just an instant ago. My mom rushed in. She discovered me standing next to the table, holding half of my bologna sandwich, and she turned to see me, her dining room chair on the back patio, and a 4-foot by 4-foot hole where the window had once been. And all I could think of in that moment was how much trouble I was in, never realizing that I had survived another attempt on my life. Who had set this murderous mousetrap? Who Could this mastermind be disguised as someone who looked a lot like me? When I was about 20, my new craze was rock climbing. I would spend my weekends climbing areas around San Diego. Mission Gorge was a very convenient climbing spot, only about 8 miles from the place that I lived. On the north side of the river that formed this gorge were mountain slabs of granite with climbing routes suitable for all rock climbing levels. Yet on the south side of the river, the cliffs were composed of sandstone. Now, as a rock climber, you knew that you could trust your life to a fingertip ledge on granite. But on sandstone, sandstone was the roulette wheel of rock climbing. Your next grip might hold you, but just as assuredly, it might not. And that is where I was climbing as dusk began to fall. I was approximately 30 feet up. 2 moves, and I would reach a wide ledge from which I could scope out my final ascent. And as I pulled myself up to be eye level with the 12 by 10-inch ledge, there was a shriek and a fury as a pair of yellow eyes, winged menacingly, raced at my face. Instinctively, I released my nearest hand to ward off the attack, and the sudden appearance of my blonde-haired blue eyes had startled a burrowing owl as it was preparing for its evening hunt. The ensuing commotion left me off balance. My sudden movement not only caused me to relinquish my grip, but had caused my foothold to start to crumble. And it was now not a matter of if I was going to fall, it was a matter of how far I would plummet. But there was a slim chance that I could escape serious injury. There was a 4-foot ledge, about a 4-inch ledge, about 5 foot to my left. If I could redirect my fall towards that ledge, then I might save myself from bone-breaking fall. But gravity is no slouch. So self-preservation overcame deliberation, and I torqued my body hard to the left while hoping that my right hand could hold my body just long enough to guide my landing on that ledge. I don't remember breathing. I do remember my heart pounding out of my chest and every muscle strung like a crossbow. With the speed of a releasing quiver, gravity tore my hand from that perch milliseconds before my boot landed on that 4-inch ledge. And only then did I dare breathe. As my body quivered with adrenaline and expletives, I waited for my rational mind to regain control. And then I surveyed my new predicaments. Would I climb down? Nope, way too far and way too dangerous. That left me with climbing up again. I devised a new route and began to climb, this time slowly. My new path returned to me to the scene of the crime. Once on that 12 by 10-inch ledge, I was able to inspect that owl's burial casually. And as I examined the skeletal remains of the owl's past dinners, I thought how my skeletal remains could have been another prize for that yellow-eyed devil. But it wasn't those wings of death that stalked me. It was something much more familiar, something much more personal. I had never taken the time nor dared to see what lurked under death's dark hood. And lo and behold, the face of death was me. It had always been me. And so it was time to come to grips with the Grim Reaper, to come to grips with the simple fact that men live shorter lives because they often realize too late that they are often the cause of their own demise. And if, by chance, you stroll into a brew pub and see me sitting alone with 2 beers on my table, then understand that I'm just sharing an ice cold one with the Grim Reaper. You see, I'm just doing my best to stay on death's good side. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Cary. And do we have some people that would like to critique our great storyteller, Cary Kellem? Raise your hands or shout out. Brad, almost called you Jack. Brad.
Call me Jack, that's cool. All right. Cary, I read this a little bit before we met, so I was familiar with the story. And once again, your vivid use of language is very impressive to me. Last time it was mostly about a hike, but you were equally adept at describing an 8-year-old trying to eat half a bologna sandwich while avoiding decapitation. So I'm just impressed with your ability to always make it clear what's happening at any given moment and describe things in a very effective way. One of the lines that I really liked was what was it, the expletive line, as my body quivered with adrenaline and expletives. That's something I've not seen paired before. So that was really cool. I think I was a little confused about the image of death following. Like I don't know if I was taking it too literally, like he actually saw his doppelganger following him, or if it's like an outside narrator realizing that he's his own downfall and he hasn't figured it out yet, or what exactly was going on. But I figured that's where it would end up, but it was a little clear what the narrator's perspective was on death, what he was seeing or not seeing. But otherwise, you held me the whole way. So, great job.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Thank you.
Any other takers? Cynthia, go for it.
Cary, you and I both love to start a sentence with a conjunction.
Okay.
When I was setting up my blog, I kind of made my own style guide for myself, and I gave myself permission to start sentences with a conjunction. But I want to challenge you to go back through and see where you can take them out. There's a lot of sentences starting with but and 2 in a row multiple times. And I think it's going to make it a lot stronger if you use it judiciously. I know for me, it's really easy when I'm writing to just like crank those out. So that's a little editing thing that I think that you can go through and tighten things up.
Okay. I know I do those things, and I always try to start the sentence a little bit differently, except on times that I'm purposeful on it. And yes, I do use but too much. So thank you for pointing that out.
I do it too. So it's something I'm sensitive about with my own writing. So
okay.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job. Anna.
I think it was a great story. I really enjoyed it. All your stories, Cary, but I read it before I heard you read it. And when you started singing, I was like, yeah, that is what it is. Because when I read it, I got really caught up on it's the Doors. Why is it, it had the rhythm and everything.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
wasn't sure if you were doing that on purpose or,
Yes.
and I sang it all day long. So it kind of really took me away from the story because it wasn't the song, but it was similar to the song. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I would kill that part of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I got so stuck. She says, Susan says no. I got so stuck on, is that the Doors? What is he doing? So for me, it was a stumbling block.
Oh, okay.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna?
Me? Okay.
Yes.
Well, Ben had his hand
I'm sorry. I need
before.
shout outs. I only got a screen of 4. Okay.
Go, Ben.
Ben.
Okay. Yeah, so I really liked your story. You did a couple things what I thought was really good. One of those things is you continue to keep this theme of falling as your kind of death trap in a sense with as your 2-year-old, you're falling down the stairs, 8 years old, you're falling over your chair. And then when you're 20s, you fall off a cliff essentially. And I think those are 2 great symbols about what you're trying to talk about in terms of your theme. Now, the question I have to ask you is how dark do you want to go? Like, what is your goal in terms of the theme? Is it kind of a dark, gloomy? Is it more haunting? Is it more charismatically kind of just tongue in cheek? Death is at your door, but just have a good time.
Yeah, I originally wrote it with, and thanks for that question. I originally wrote it with the idea of, kind of not tongue in cheek, but well, yeah, tongue in cheek, because I was basically, I was basically kind of looking back as I was talking to Lydia before we started here, and it's amazing how all of us lived through our childhood. And for me, I just interjected death and did the slow reveal where death is myself, my own stupidity, so to speak, or my own adventurousness.
And I really like how you bring in that theme at the end, where you close it. You start it off in the beginning, and then you close it with the same type of information about brushing of your own stupidity, understanding who you are as a person, and being able to survive your childhood in a sense. So those are some things that I really like. The one thing I think you would want to change is the speed of pacing is very fast right in the beginning, because you do start off with the song lyrics, which kind of read quickly, and then you get into, but every time I look behind me, there is no one there, and that's a very provocative sentence, and it gets really good until you go, for instance, and then you say, when I was 2, we lived in a Navy house, and then you go through a long kind of info dump about living in this unit. And what do you think? I think you can either cut it, or you can transform it into more of the theme of your story. And so if you want to lead characters, your readers in, think about you say like but every time I look behind me, there is no one there. I must have covered my tracks pretty well. This person, this character is consumed about death. He's worried about it, he might find him. And so if you do a description of the household, perhaps write it in a way that's like death is kind of there and it's kind of watching him in a sense.
Okay.
It's kind of, yeah, so it's kind of like that. And instead of actually describing it through the eyes of a child or a narrator, describe the house through death, and how death sees how everything in that household could kill the character in a sense. And so that gives the feeling of being haunted in a sense, right? Yeah. So those are my ideas.
Oh, thanks. That's great.
Anyone else?
Cheryl.
Oh,
And
well, I
Bobby.
think Anna was first. Anna, were
Oh, I
you
have
first?
a brief.
You guys are
Yeah,
making
I
me dizzy.
have a brief comment. I really enjoyed Cary. I actually read before as well, and it reminded me a lot of Richard Feynman with like "Surely You Are Joking, Mr. Freeman." I don't know if you heard about this book.
No.
He was a, well, I have it right here, but
Really, you're joking.
yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah.
He's a physician, a physics teacher at USC, and he had like many adventures. So it's just like chronicles, and it reminded me a lot of it. And I think it's a great. I don't know if this reading piece is already like in the book that you wrote, because I haven't read it yet.
Is not.
But it's I think it's a great thing, like just to have like all these chronicles and then like publish them all together. And I agree with Anna about the song. I didn't know what the song, I thought it might be a song, the beginning. I like that you start with it, but maybe not at the end, in my opinion, because I think you wrap up really well with like, I'm just gonna stay on the good side of death, and I like that. And I think Ben brought like really good points, so that's it.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheryl?
Yeah, Cary, I love your style. I always appreciate your style. I think that you're very multi-detailed and multi-descriptive, and I very much enjoyed it. And also, you're a fellow chair balancer. I always sat on the back of 2 legs and always got in trouble every dinner, every lunch, but I didn't go through the windows.
Yeah, mine did. Boy, I'll tell you. Oh, thank you.
Wow.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and I did appreciate some of the things that Ben said. I didn't see any of those things. I just thought it was great, but I appreciated the detail that Ben went into on how to make it better.
Okay, thanks. Very good. Thank you, Cheryl.
Bobby?
Well, Cary, you're the only person I've ever met and have known that can make the prospect of death humorous. It was such a creative topic. I mean, who would think of that? I mean, that was very good. And I like the way you changed death to the Grim Reaper, and you had a beer with them at the, toward the conclusion. Your metaphor about sandstone being the roulette of mountain climbing was really apropos. I don't know if you've always had that gift of language or whether you've developed it, but it's perfection. And I just wanted to tell a little story about when I taught middle school. Right before the bell rang, or it was time to change periods, the students had their backpacks on the back of their chairs. And they would always put their arms through the backpack. So as soon as the bell rang, they could just get up with the backpack. Well, one student didn't make it. The backpack was so heavy, he went backwards. And he sat there like a turtle, kicking and screaming to get out. So that was a good analogy about rocking in the chairs, because kids do that.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Thank you.
Lydia, do you have anything to help Cary along his way?
I shared it with him while we were waiting on you.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Damn, I was late. Well, I do have a little something to say. Hey, Cary, you used the term death a lot in this piece. Have you ever thought about breaking out the thesaurus and change that word up a little bit? Also,
Okay.
there were other things that you could have said or along with change it up, to add to like the Grim Reaper, angel of death, harvester of souls, those kinds of things.
Oh yeah,
And
that'll be good.
and and I wrote down a couple examples, but I forgot where most of them were, where one of them was in your story. It stated, if I was to investigate my brushes with death, and change that to, if I was to investigate my brushes with the harvester of souls.
Mm-hmm.
That one. And then there was another one, but death is relentless as I am foolish, and change that into, but the angel of death is relentless as I am foolish. So it just gives it I think a more picturesque, juicier version.
Much so, yeah.
Okay.
Like the harvester of souls.
Yeah, and but keep Grim Reaper, because that's another one of his little names. When you see repetitive names or words that you use all the time, check that thesaurus says, and that's after the fact, after you've written it the first time. Go back and find some other words to replace that with. And that's what Brad always busts me on, and Bobby and Cynthia. So, and I want to congratulate you as a fellow bologna sandwich lover, and I like to put bologna sandwiches in all my stories. Okay, I was so appreciative of that. Okay, it gave me a giggle. Well done, Cary. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Time for one more?
Yo, I knew she was there someplace. Go for it, girlfriend.
Just quickly, of course, I love your story, Cary. Excellent. And I love hearing the great advice from everybody else and the feedback.
Yeah.
I was, I don't know much about writing and all that, but I love a good story. And the only thing I was thinking about was the punctuation and such. And if it's a song, I'm wondering if you only need quotation marks at the beginning of the song and at the end of the lyrics anyway.
Oh, okay.
Instead of, quote, 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 quote. And then I wonder if they would know or get more of a clue that it's a song if it's italicized. And Cynthia would know better about that. Or Brad's giving me a thumbs up. So,
oh, okay. Oh, cool.
That's all, because I was a little confused with the all the quotation marks.
So it should just be one set of quotation marks and italicized? Just one
I'm
at the
not
beginning.
sure.
or
Quote,
the end?
Ask
quotation,
the experts, but that's, I would put one set of quotation marks and italicize it perhaps. What are you
Okay.
doing, Susan?
no, I was gonna, one at the very beginning, italicize, and when you
At the
end
bottom?
it, quotation marks down at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm sure somebody else can help you with the spelling or grammar or whatever, or if you'd like me to review it for you, I can. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.